The headlines. Donors pledged more than $1 billion to Afghanistan amid a growing humanitarian crisis. But on the ground, evidence of Taliban killings despite promises of restraint. US Secretary of State Antony Blinken defends America's withdrawal from the country, saying staying longer would not have improved anything.
If 20 years and hundreds of billions of dollars in support, equipment, and training did not suffice, why would another year, another 5, another 10?
Our headlines. The United Nations says more than $1 billion of aid have been promised for Afghanistan. Funding, it says, is needed to avoid a humanitarian catastrophe. The BBC has obtained and verified footage which shows civilians being killed by Taliban fighters in Afghanistan's Panjshir Valley. In a new BBC series exploring the impact of extreme heat, we ask why Nigeria's oil industry is making the effects of climate change even worse. And surfing, China style. We'll reveal why catching a wave there has never been so popular. Let's take a look at some of the other stories in the headlines today. Israel's Prime Minister Naftali Bennett has described his talks in Egypt with President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi as very good and important. Speaking after the first official visit to Egypt by an Israeli leader for a decade, Mr. Bennett talked of a deep connection between the two countries. The Egyptians said ways to revive the Israeli-Palestinian peace process were discussed. Campaigners say more than 220 people were murdered last year while trying to protect their environment or land. Global Witness, which compiled the figures, said it was a new record for the second year in a row. Latin America was the region with most killings, while Colombia was the worst affected country with 65 deaths. A fake news release supposedly from Walmart led to a spike in the cryptocurrency Litecoin and then a tumble in prices. The statement published by a newswire service claimed that the US retailer would accept the cryptocurrency. Walmart said the announcement was inauthentic. Meanwhile, in other news, Pope Francis has told Jewish leaders in Slovakia of his shame at the murder of more than 100,000 Slovakian Jews during the Second World War. On the first full day of his visit, he lit a candle at the Holocaust Memorial in Bratislava and condemned what he called the frenzy of hatred of that time, as well as present-day anti-Semitism. It is the first papal visit to Slovakia since 2003.
Norway's Conservative Prime Minister Erna Solberg has admitted defeat in Monday's election, which paves the way for a left-wing government led by the opposition Labour Party. Its leader, Jonas Gahr Støre, looks set to take power. The campaign itself was dominated by climate change and the future of Norway's oil industry. Apple has issued an emergency security update for its devices after reports surfaced of new spyware thought to be used by the Israeli company NSO Group. An independent watchdog, Citizen Lab, said last week that it had found malicious software on the phone of a Saudi opposition activist.